Every once in a while, you come across a company story that reads less like a business report and more like an epic novel. It's got humble beginnings, a massive gamble that paid off, a trial by fire that would have crushed most companies, and an unbelievable rise to the top. Well, today, we're diving into that exact story, the incredible saga of Grace Management. $725 million. Just let that number hang in the air for a second. This isn't just some random valuation. It's the explosive climax of our story. It's the result of one single, all-cash deal that absolutely rocked the senior living industry. But to really understand how we got to this number, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. So yeah, that's the big question, right? How in the world does a company that literally started out just trying to make the dining room food better for seniors end up becoming this operational giant, managing huge portfolios and attracting the biggest names in real estate? Well, stick around because that's exactly what we're going to unpack. All right, so to really get how a company makes that leap, we have to rewind the clock, way back. 4 decades, to be exact, back to a time when the whole idea of what senior living could be was being completely reimagined. The Grace Management story really plays out in three distinct acts. First, you've got the foundational era, where they figured out who they were. Then comes the private equity transformation, which was like strapping a rocket to the company. And finally, the institutional capital era, where they proved they belonged on the biggest stage. Let's start at the beginning, Act 1. Okay, now this is what's so fascinating about the Grace Management origin story. It didn't start in a sterile clinic or a stuffy boardroom. It started in a dining room. Seriously. Back in 1984, the founders, Gene and Marie Jo Grace, were hired as consultants for one single job: fix the food service at a senior community in Houston. And right there, they had this light bulb moment. They realized senior living wasn't just about healthcare. It was about the experience. And that one idea would become the bedrock of their entire company. And out of that hospitality-first mindset, this mission was born. PEOPLE. Pleasant environments offering positive life experiences. Now, this wasn't just some catchy slogan to put on a poster. It became the company's DNA. It was the framework they used for every decision for the next 40 years, making sure that the human experience always came first. So for 30 years, Grace operated as this highly respected but kind of quiet boutique firm, a turnaround specialist. Then, in 2014, everything changed. Private equity came calling, and Grace Management was about to get thrown into a whole new, high-speed game. This is the key. This quote is from John Rijos, the co-founder of Chicago Pacific Founders, the PE firm that bought Grace. See, Rijos had this incredibly smart but simple strategy: buy senior living communities that were underperforming, use a world-class operator to fix them up, and then sell them for a big profit. He saw Grace Management as the absolute perfect engine to power this buy, fix, sell machine, because he knew their special blend of hospitality and healthcare was the secret to unlocking a ton of value. So you really have to appreciate how dramatic this shift was. Grace went from being this careful, independent operator that handpicked its projects to suddenly being the operational arm of a high-speed investment machine. The goal wasn't just making things better anymore. It was about massive, rapid growth and scaling up to an institutional level. Just as Grace was hitting its new rhythm, the entire world slammed on the brakes. The COVID-19 pandemic wasn't just another challenge for the senior living industry. It was a full-blown existential crisis. And for Grace Management, it was about to become the ultimate test of everything they had built. I mean, the numbers from that time were just devastating. Across the entire industry, lockdowns and fear just stopped move-ins cold. Grace wasn't immune, of course. Their occupancy took a hit, though they managed to keep it around to 88%, which really speaks to how strong their foundation was. But still, with their communities locked down and families completely terrified, the company was in a true fight for survival. And this is where all that preparation and culture really came through. They didn't just react, they executed a brilliant strategy. They chose to be radically transparent with families, telling them exactly what was going on. Their sales teams immediately, and I mean immediately, pivoted to virtual tours so they could still get new move-ins when nobody else could. And their communication was so on point, they actually won a national award for it. And the results? They were just incredible. A survey of their residents and families confirmed it. People felt protected, they felt informed, and they were highly satisfied with the company's response.
By navigating the absolute worst crisis the industry had ever seen, Grace Management didn't just make it through. They came out stronger, with their reputation not just intact, but better than ever. They had proven they were a truly elite operator.
Now, you better believe that kind of performance during a global crisis did not go unnoticed. The biggest players in the real estate world, the major real estate investment trusts, or REITs, they were all watching very, very closely. And what happened next would be the stunning climax to Grace Management's 40-year journey. It all started with this portfolio: 20 high-quality senior living communities spread across the Sun Belt, the Northeast, and the Midwest, all of them managed by Grace. And these weren't just any old properties. Under Grace and Chicago Pacific founders, these communities had seen almost $50 million in capital improvements. They were top tier, some of the most desirable assets on the market. And that brings us right back to our number. In November of 2024, the healthcare REIT giant Ventas acquired the entire 20-asset portfolio in a staggering all-cash deal for $725 million. It was a massive, undeniable validation of that buy, fix, sell strategy from years before. But here's the real kicker. This is the most important part of the whole deal. Ventas didn't just buy the buildings. They bought into the operator. They kept Grace Management on to run all 20 of those communities. In the world of high-stakes institutional real estate, that is the ultimate vote of confidence. It was Ventas basically saying, your operational skill isn't just part of the value, it is the value. So how'd they do it? A massive sale like that is no accident. It's built on decades of perfecting a system. So let's pop the hood and take a look at the programs that really define the Grace Management experience. Well, for their residents with Alzheimer's and dementia, they developed the award-winning Village program. It's this really compassionate three-part approach. Reflect helps residents connect with their past and their identity. Rejoice focuses on finding joy in the here and now to reduce anxiety. And Renew is all about revitalizing a resident's spirit every single day. It's a true philosophy of care. They also understood that you can't take care of residents if you don't take care of your staff. In an industry known for brutal turnover rates, they invested heavily in their team. They earned the Great Place to Work certification, offered modern perks like daily pay options for their hourly workers, and created awards to celebrate the people who lived their culture every day. That's how you become an employer of choice. That massive $725 million deal wasn't the end of the line for Grace Management, not even close. It was really the beginning of a whole new chapter. It solidified their spot as a top-tier partner for institutional capital and set them up for their next 40 years of growth. Now, just take a look at this chart. This is the big picture, the major trend that's going to define senior living for the next decade. On the left, you've got the demand for senior housing, and it's about to explode, thanks to the silver tsunami of aging baby boomers. And on the right, new construction has slowed to a crawl. This creates this huge imbalance between supply and demand, and Grace Management, now partnered with a giant like Ventas, is perfectly positioned to ride that wave. And so, we're left with this one final, really important question. As our demographics literally reshape society, the future of aging is being written right now, in real time. And after a 40-year journey, from a single dining room to the absolute pinnacle of the industry, Grace Management has proven that a company built on a simple, human-focused mission might just be one of the key architects of that future.